All right, we're hot. We're hot. We're hot. Well, okay, this is podcast brought to you by four college baseball players, one active, three absolutely washed. My name is Luce, aka Brant, uh, and I'm gonna paint it to my boys here, the four of us Detroit sports fans, and we're just gonna let it rip here for a little while on some of our teams, and we'll cover some of the leagues as well. But Sean, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, so I'm a retired left-handed pitcher. My name's Sean. I will also be going by Pooh Bear in this podcast as well. I love Detroit sports. Big Michigan State fan as well. I know we got another Sparty in here, and then two other Michigan boys, and I will paint it over to those Michigan boys as well. Brock, take it away.
Yo, so yeah, I'm Brock, retired first baseman. All right, for the Cougies. All right, you're gonna hear me probably referred to as Cock. All right, that's just part of the deal. That's the nickname. Got to roll with it. All right, that's what you get when you get four college teammates. I'm one of the big Michigan fans. Me and Seth here. We're the two Michigan boys. All right, and obviously we're gonna be rolling with our Lions, our Tigers. That's gonna be our main focus. But we're gonna keep the whole Detroit covered. All right, and I'll pass it over to Seth.
Yep, my name's Seth. Going to be referred to as Rollins in this podcast, and yeah, we bleed the 3-1-3 for sure. Every single team, and we love our sports.
Love it, love it, love it. So we'll start here. Okay. Commanders beat the Bucks on Sunday Night Football, and that is who our Detroit Lions will match up with. So just our initial thoughts. Do we like the matchup? How do we fare against Jaden Daniels? Obviously, that's the biggest concern. Mobile quarterbacks have kind of been a thorn in our side under Aaron Glenn's system, but obviously it's the best matchup probably that we could have had. But why don't we go ahead, Brock? What do you got?
I mean, look, Jaden Daniels is going to be something that is going to be the focus of the game plan. It's a guy who's mobile. It's the only problems that have given the Lions problems all year is really Josh Allen running all over us and Baker in that week 2 matchup, right? So we had the familiarity with Tampa. Dan Campbell had talked about in his presser last week about how the familiarity with Tampa and all the other teams that we had were something that we had an advantage with. Now we don't have any tape on Washington. We haven't played them, I don't think, in the entire Dan Campbell area. So this is a first time matchup, and it's going to be fun. So let's go ahead and pass
Played
over.
him 2 years ago without Jaden.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
I think we handled them pretty well as
won
well.
big.
I think
Yeah.
we won pretty big.
Well, that's when they were bad.
Yeah, I think they have Carson Wentz starting.
That might have been the Carson Wentz year, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what week they played in, but that could have been a Carson Wentz game.
Yeah, that was Hutch's first year with us, and that was kind of his a little bit of a breakout for his rookie year, I believe. But yeah, kind of building off of what Brock was saying with the Commanders, I think it is a little bit of a good thing that we haven't played them this year yet. Obviously Vikings look like trash. They're not going to win tonight, but it is hard to beat a team 3 times throughout the year. And then the Rams, getting everyone back, they're definitely scary this year. And look at their offense already putting up 24 points for half on this poor-ass defense. But, I would say that one thing I am happy about is the Commanders have no run defense, have no support in that one. I think
137.5 yards per game they're giving up this year.
Yeah, I think Bucky Irving had like 65 at half. And so, having Montgomery back, it will be nice in those, 1 yardage, 2 yardage kind of distance because Washington does kind of fare well with the up front boys, but they're linebackers and
they're big up front. 2 Alabama boys up front in the middle.
Yeah, so I think Gibbs will definitely eat, but it'll be interesting to see, like you said, how we do against Jaden and kind of keeping him in that containment.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we don't have to see Gibbs tote the rock 30 times. He had 28 touches last week. Like, that's great for fantasy owners. It's great for projecting next year. Maybe he's the 1-1 in fantasy football, but I don't love seeing my Gibby go right up the middle with all those bodies in there. Right, we want to keep him on the edges, but he showed us that he can bang in there and he can get the tough yards, break tackles, and if he gets a blade of grass, you ain't catching him. So that's definitely. They're going to run the ball. They're going to work off play action. It'll be I said this to one of my friends earlier. If we play Detroit ball, this will be a blowout. I mean, it won't be close. Maybe Jaden leads them, scores a couple points. Olamide Zaccheaus, been a guy like the last 6 weeks of the season, like they've been going to him. He's been averaging like 6 or 7 targets a game. Diami Brown had a career game. He's one of the aforementioned Amon-Ra, St. Brown, infamous, whatever 14 guys that went before him. But it's going to be a definite opportunity for the Lions to be on the national stage again and show what we can do. Rollins, what do you got?
For sure. We keep on talking about the offense, but I think
you get that defense. Defense.
And, man, if we get that defense that showed up against the Vikings, I mean, it's going to be over. The one thing –
it looks like Terrion's going to play too. I mean, we haven't – obviously it's early, but all signs are saying that he's going to play. So,
dog, and he wants to play. He's just a ball lover. So, but my big thing is going to be shutting down the RPOs. The RPOs just – they ran a ton against the Bucs. And if you can get those going and hitting the slant routes especially, like they were doing all game against the Bucs, that's going to be what opens things up. Because when you can have the run-pass option, and then you also have Jaden Daniels, who we're talking about, who we know running mobile quarterbacks is our kryptonite, has been in the past. That's been our track record. But if you can shut those down, I think that shuts down a big part of their offense, where they kind of try and get more guys in the box. And then once you start loading up the box for the RPOs, they start throwing the ball to McLaurin. And so my big notes are just shutting down Daniels on the run game, and then Terry McLaurin. Those are really the only two. I know Brown had a good game, but he just doesn't worry me that much.
I think we'll also see Kirby come down a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up jumping one of those routes. I know that he did that against Brock Purdy in that play action in Week 17. Those were definitely some deeper passes, but I wouldn't be shocked if AG starts to call a little bit of him coming down as that safety, and definitely going to be teeing off on Scary Terry if he's coming right across.
Yeah, I think the matchup – hold on. Go ahead, Brent.
Go ahead.
I think the matchup for sure is just to see who is going to guard Terry, right? Is it going to be a Meek? Is Terrion healthy enough to guard Terry? And if so, do we leave him straight one-on-one? Do we hover Kirby kind of bracket style with the way that we saw Texas handle Jeremiah Smith? You could see the pictures of like a little triangle blanket or a bracket is what they like to call it over him. Do we see that with Kirby? Do we see him just coming down, or do we see him shadowing over? What do we see Iffy do? Is he going to be down in the box, kind of like Sean said with Curb? Or what do we see? Iffy, I love Iffy, by the way, because we're going to see him probably a lot in those 5-man fronts that we like to run to make sure that we can keep Jaden in that pocket. But I think the funnest thing to watch is going to be who's guarding Terry one-on-one, and what does that look like throughout the entire game? Because if Jaden likes to go, if he gets the one-on-one with Terry, he's going to let it rip. We saw that early with that beautiful pass he threw to him early in the game. So that's going to be where I'm looking when we're on defense to start, is who's on Terrion. Are we going to have someone run with him, or are we just going to say, hey, Amit, you got this side, Terrion, you got this side. We're going to play and press or whatever, have our safety over the top. That's where I'm going to be looking first.
I actually think Iffy's going to be playing in that linebacker area, because I think they're going to use him as a spy for Jaden. And then
that's Sam linebacker.
Yeah, I think he's going to be able to cover those RPOs a little bit better as well, because he won't have to worry about stopping the run as much, because, that's going to be Anzalone and probably Jack Campbell the whole time. And so if he's in there, I have a feeling he'll be the spy. But the one thing that I have noticed about Jaden is he's not really like, yes, he is a running quarterback, but his first instinct isn't to take off.
He's a thrower.
He doesn't just run out there.
He wants to rip it.
He's not like Hurts. He's not like Hurts where he just wants to run out of the pocket. Yeah.
But one guy that is low key, I know he's an old ass, but Zach Ertz. He's been playing a lot.
He had down the stretch.
That playoff experience too. I think that's gonna be a key. I think we'll probably end up seeing Anzalone on him. He'll probably usually.
Anzalone will match up man on man a ton. He was on Amon-Ra St. Brown's podcast saying that he's the best man covered linebacker in the league. So he's definitely.
But then what's going to happen with Eckler when he comes out of the backfield?
Yeah,
who's going to be going on that? It's going to be kind of a switcheroo, and that's why I think Iffy will be coming in as linebacker a lot, because he can take either or.
I think we'll see a lot of single high. Like, I don't think that AG's going to sit there in a too high shell. Jaden Daniels is a rookie, right? Like he's gonna show a bunch of disguised coverage where we bring Iffy, or maybe even we rotate Kirby down and then bounce him out into a four look from a cover 3 single high safety. And I mean, we're gonna play man. I mean, they're gonna play man 60 to 70% of the time, and none of their guys are elite separators outside of McLaurin vertically. Like they're going to challenge him. I have a feeling that Amik and Terrion will stay on their sides. They normally don't move, but if we're in a man look, you're going to see them, with emotion, which you see emotion. It feels like every other snap or every snap in some form. If we see Terry go across the formation, somebody's going to be going right with him on his tail. You're not going to see pointing off, passing him off. Like you're going to see Terrion or Meek stick with him and play him the whole way through, regardless of what we got on top. But any other?
Just touched on Ertz. That's the guy. This is the guy who had six touchdowns in his last 7 games in the regular season, right? So they're looking for him often, especially in the red zone. So look for that in the red zone to see what kind of matchup we're getting with him as far as that, because we're looking at a guy, like I said, six touchdowns in his last 7, and we're looking at about 5-6 targets a game. So they're frequently looking for him in the red zone, especially.
I definitely think it's going to be a Brian Branch game in the fact of he's going to be coming off the edge.
I hope he's healthy, man. I think he might be one of the biggest benefactors of this bye week, because I think it's a calf he's been dealing with, and he's been dealing with that for multiple weeks now. And he's been a step behind. Like he hasn't been flying around like he was, and
ever since he moved down the slot corner, especially,
he's still reckless. I mean, he's throwing his head in there. It scares me sometimes, but I mean, he plays 1,000 miles an hour, but you can tell that extra burst hasn't quite been there. So I expect our boys to be absolutely flying around. We know what the crowd's going to be like. What was the stat? You can buy a ticket to all 3 other divisional games for the same price as the Lions get in price.
Out of the 4 games that are played, right? You could buy the ticket to Philly, a ticket to Baltimore. And then where's the last one at? All 3 of them for a combined total under the $4.99 get-in price, as in almost $500 for the Lions game. It's incredible.
The building's going to be bonkers. The boys are going to be flying around. They're going to be as healthy as they've been all year. Week 5 buys should be fired into the sun. That should not be a thing. That's ridiculous. And then obviously later on top of the fact that we've been severely injured. But the last thing I want to touch on, I would say, just like with the edge rushers, I don't think it needs to be a game where like we're begging for ZD or Muhammad to be getting in there and getting sacks. Like it's all about QB contain. It's QB contain. Don't let him extend plays. When we extend plays and we're in man, that's when we're going to run into trouble, right? It's hard to cover for 5-6 seconds if we're going to let him out of the pocket. That's how Josh killed us, and Buffalo did a lot with moving the running backs around, and Eckler
down some murder us
to really crush us in wheel routes or seam routes from the running back position. And Brian Robinson's not a receiver at all, but having Jack and Anzalone there really shores that up. So if we can just keep him in the pocket and let our guys do their thing, be on the lookout for a little Pat O'Connor. Maybe Pat O'Connor's an X.
No, he's out. He's out for he's dealing with an injury. Yeah, he's banged up pretty bad.
DJ Reader game, and
stuff in the run.
I saw this thing. I think we used it last week on Sam Darnold, so he wouldn't get out of the pocket, so he felt the pressure in. Is our outside guys, Muhammad and ZD or Smith, was coming up. They'd come up, and then they wouldn't come too far to where like anyone could come out of the pocket, but it was up to the hash marks, then pinch in so that it streaks them back into the pressure. And I think. Hot take, but I think the boys get 2 picks. I do think Kirby gets another one. He's obviously leading the league in interceptions. And I think Jaden Daniels is going to be very, over his head in this one. Obviously, he's going to shine. That's,
He'll have his moments.
Offensive rookie of the year, even though it should be Brock Bowers. But I definitely, think he's going to make his plays. He'll have his plays. But, yeah, I think this is going to be a close game for about 15, 20 minutes. And then I think we're definitely going to overpower here.
I think the big thing, Luce, you kind of hit on it, is we got a rookie quarterback and we need to take advantage of it.
You got to.
And being able to send in like the loop pressures that we were doing against Darnold a ton too.
Or send 6, 7, 8, the AG special, baby.
Hit
him in the house.
Hands back there in the pocket. And I think rookie quarterbacks, even though Jaden Daniels, I think he's amazing. I mean, he's still learning to do, obviously. And so make him make those rookie QB mistakes. Even though he doesn't, he's one of the best rookie quarterbacks that we've seen out of this draft, but he's going to make some eventually. So
I think the only other rookie quarterback we played was Caleb, right? We haven't played any other rookie quarterbacks?
Nope. then play the
No.
Patriots.
So this is something that like we haven't seen us match up a lot outside of the Bears, which the first game was close. Caleb was good down the stretch, but the second game, obviously, I mean, the
Caleb was good
Bears.
in the
That's
second game too, man. He was good in the second
yeah.
game.
He's all right.
Keenan
Obviously,
Allen,
the Keenan Allen
Allen's
thing
lion killer.
that goes back a long. He's
He's
killed his
lion
whole career.
killer.
That I'll attribute that more to Keenan. That storyline. I'm gonna be glad when he retires because I don't want to see him go for 11 and 130 and 2 tugs every time he plays us. So,
Yeah.
should we touch on the Bucks? We just completely overlooked them. We have anything on the Bucks? Any postmortem? Just postmortem.
I mean, that team with Chris Godwin would have
That's
been a
that was my biggest thought. Is
I
like
think that's the only take.
I think with Chris Godwin they win the game.
Yancey's a stud. Yaya Diabe's a stud. Levante David still got it. That play where he ran down Jaden Daniels.
Oh my god, that was crazy.
Frickin' Collinsworth about lost his mind when that play happened. He couldn't fathom it. Right. I love Collinsworth though. No Collinsworth disrespect. Him and Tirico love the Lions. So no disrespect to that Sunday Night Football crew. But dude, the Bucks they're good, man. I mean, Baker.
He'll be all right. He'll be all right.
Bucky's a star in the making. Man.
Oh,
Bucky's a star. McMillan looked great down the stretch in Godwin's absence.
Bucky is like memed to a point on Instagram and Twitter where I don't really understand.
There's Bucky Irving worshiper. It's the account I see all the time. It's in my algorithm.
Absolutely ride for Bucky Irving. He's a dog too. 4th round pick, by the way. That's why you go get your running back. Okay, that's ridiculous. But are we all on the same page with Jaden Daniels being the best rookie quarterback?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Bo makes it interesting, but Jaden's the best.
Yeah, who's 2? Is Bo a solid 2?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think Bo is 2, and then
I don't know, man. I'm a May guy. I think May.
The May thing's really interesting, and I mean that might be a later topic for I don't know if we'll get to that show, but the Mike Vrabel going to the Patriots, that makes things very interesting over there in New England. That is exactly who they want.
I hate to see like how many coaches are getting canned after a year. It's ridiculous, but I mean, when you got Mike Vrabel on the line, who's in your ring of honor, a Super Bowl winner, like, sorry, Gerard Mayo, like they clearly.
Why didn't they just hire him in the first place?
I don't know. Clearly, well, it's hard. You move on from Belichick, you move on from Brady.
Like we talk about bridge quarterbacks, that was a bridge head coach. That was literally just a bridge head coach.
I think, I mean, it just shows, I mean, the Lions, we saw that forever with how much disarray, an organization can be in from the top down. And Robert Kraft's having to make decisions that he hadn't made in 20 years.
Well, he had to make the first
Belichick and Brady do everything for 25 years.
It was the first decision he made in like 25 years.
Exactly.
So, he didn't do anything. He just sat there and watched the Super Bowls come in.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's obviously he messed that up, but they got it right now. And I don't know if Gerard Mayo will get another shot. He'll probably have to DC somewhere again before he gets another shot at being a head coach. Him and Antonio Pierce both. The Raiders are a dumpster fire, but I think we're going to talk about that later with where the Raiders play in with the Lions. But final score for Lions Commanders. Final scores. What do we got?
I'm gonna go. I think 34-17 is where I think we're gonna end up.
Okay.
I see us putting 40. I do see us getting 40 on the board. I just don't know how they stop our offense. They did okay against Tampa, but that was a lot of Todd Bowles clock mismanagement. The memes of him are hilarious with his clock. But I'm gonna go with 41-17. It's a high score, but I just don't think they stop us.
I was thinking the same thing as Sean, 34-10. That's what I had written down. I think that we're going to put up points. I think we could get to the 40 range, but that's just a lot of points, and I think we're just kind of going to let off the brakes for a little bit once we get up by a little bit. I think it's going to be a blowout by it.
Yeah, it's going to be a blowout. I think that with the way that we're going to approach this game and how many times we're going to run the ball, it might be hard for us to get to 40. I think you're going to see kind of what we saw with the Eagles with the way they've played the last couple of weeks. Now they can't throw the forward pass, so they have no choice, but there's that time of possession sort of game style where we're running the ball down their throat. And, if the explosive happens, maybe we'll get into 40. I see like a 38-21, like they'll probably score a garbage time touchdown. But this is going to be, this is going to be too much for Jaden and the young Commanders, but 12-5, now 13 wins with the playoff win. If you would have told Commanders fans that was what they were going to have before the season, they would have told you absolutely not. So definitely is a great year for them. And obviously this will look terrible if they beat us, but I don't foresee that happening. But
And the Vikings are on the board. They just had a TJ Hawk 26-yard tutty, closing in a little 27-10 lead. But going into that game, I don't know if you boys were able to see, but Kyron Williams actually hurt his knee in one of the plays, so that might be something to monitor for next game.
Yeah, he's barely. Yeah, he didn't do nothing, but Cam Akers hasn't looked bad. Also, how ridiculous is it? They've traded for him the last 2 years in a row. I think they've traded like a 6th or 7th round pick 2 years in a row for him. That just seems like a waste. Brad Holmes would never. Okay. But yeah, I mean the Vikings. I mean, it's 27-9 with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. So obviously with the us playing the Commanders game does not matter to us anymore. But in most likely what's going to be the Rams versus Eagles, as that pertains to us, I don't really care who wins. I take that back. I think I would rather play the Eagles than play the Rams. I'm sick and tired of hearing Matthew Stafford narratives and him coming into Ford Field and doing that whole thing again. And with us beating them 2 times in a row, like, I mean, they're good. They're young. They fly around on defense. Anyone who thinks their defense is bad is not watching the games. I mean, they got 3 or 4 pass rushers that can get after you. Their linebackers are probably the weak spot of their defense, but their secondary players, I mean, I don't even know most of them, but
Christian Lake and Durant have been playing really good tonight.
And you got Akilo Witherspoon's been good. Cam Curl's been good all year.
Yeah, Curl.
Up top.
So, dude, they're feisty. They're young, and Sean McVay is one of the absolute best in the NFL. And so they're gonna. I mean, they've seen us twice now in the last.
I think the youth of that defense has kind of revived that team a little bit because you got a grizzled veteran offense, right? Old guys all over the place.
Except for Puka.
Except for Puka. All right. But you've got Jared Verse out there just wrecking havoc. Kobe Turner, Byron Young. Like those guys are problems.
Braden Fisk.
That was their first round pick in the past 3 years.
And the rest of the guys out there are all lower round picks, and they're players, man. The Rams, they do it right. That's a Brad Holmes. That's a Brad Holmes organization. Okay, he built that thing from the ground up, so they're just reaping what he sowed there.
Well, the thing is too with the Eagles, man, is there is some in-house troubles going on
every week.
Should we get to that game?
It is
22, Packers 10.
Yeah,
might as well hit it while we're going.
I mean, there's not much to say about the damn Packers. Fraud of a franchise. The fact that they were saying that they had the best wide receiver core and none of their bum asses put up 1,000 yards. They didn't even make it to the game.
They didn't 900. Make it through a playoff game. They were all dead. They're all injured.
I mean, shout out my boy Jaden Reed, obviously Michigan State
boy. Spartan dog.
But yeah, man. What was that money Jordan Love got? What was that?
Too much, man.
Too much. And
I think the biggest takeaway is, I mean, the lack of discipline from what is touted to be an A-list coach in Matt LaFleur. His team acts like he does. He's constantly losing his shit about every game about something, and we've seen it multiple times with just Quay Walker alone. I don't think he was on the hook here in this game, but it seems like it's every game that matters to him. Which, by the way, they were 0-6 against every team that they played above 500, which was the Lions, Eagles, and Vikings. They were combined 0-6. So every game they played that mattered, they lost, including some. But yeah, the lack of discipline by that team and with that fan base, that history, right? With the quarterback history, having 3 in the last 60 years, 40 years, or whatever it is, with Brett and Aaron and all those guys, like. The lack of discipline. If I was a fan of that team with where we're at now as Lions, that would be the biggest thing that stand out to me is like it's every game that matters. They're just shooting themselves right in the foot with personal fouls, unnecessary roughnesses, all this garbage.
But
I think the last thing to touch on with the Packers and Sean, you can go back to your point, but I mean we don't need to spend much more time talking about them. They got a big offseason. They got a lot of pending free agents, a lot of decisions they got to make. Jair Alexander probably not going to be on the team next year. He had some quotes after the game. He's a diva, drama queen. He
didn't even play.
He ducks every good receiver he plays. But the real question I think here Matt LaFleur's not. He's not the guy.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. The reason they are so soft is because their head coach is so soft.
Yeah.
He complains, he bitches about everything, which then causes his teams to throw attention tantrums and ends up, just costing them the game. Like they were going to get a stop. I think it was going to be like 3rd and 8, and Nixon just throws the guy out of bounds, causes them a free first down, which don't get me wrong, the game was already over in that case, but it's just stupid penalties like that that all stems from the coaching system, and they're all soft, causing all their players to be soft. Kudos to them. As we were growing up, obviously they did run the division for a while, but now it's just looking like a sorry ass team.
And the crazy thing about it is in EQ St. Brown, I'm not going to try and rip that name. I think it was, there you go. I think 2 weeks ago, but he was talking about how the Packers, and we know this, but they think that the NFC North is theirs. It doesn't matter what year it is. It could be 20 years from now, it could be 20 years ago. They think going into every season that the NFC North is theirs.
Dude, they ran it for the entirety of Favre and Rodgers.
I think that's bled into this team, though, where they think that they're just going to show up and it's going to happen. They don't, and they're not good enough to do that anymore. And so I don't think Matt LaFleur is going to get – he's not going to get fired. But if they have another year similar to what they did this year, again, next year, you're talking about you're going to have to make a change.
Well, the thing is after last year when he put up the numbers they did, and he had a good season, Jordan Love, but I think everybody was thinking they were like, and even I was kind of like, I was like, dude, if they got another guy that is going to be here for years to come, and is going to be the dude. But, like, he was awful this year. And in the playoff game, he was even worse.
He wasn't any good.
I mean, I think there was a stat that passes 10-plus yards, he was 3 for 10 on them with 2 picks. Like, that's awful. If you're only throwing the ball down the field 10-plus yards 10 times a game, especially in a game where you're losing and you need to come back, like, I don't know. There's a lot of realization that needs to come to these Packers fans that it's not their division anymore.
No, I mean it's the Vikings and the Lions and KOC. I mean, he's a dog. I don't think he should win Coach of the Year. Obviously, we all have the same opinion on that. It's a joke. I mean, we're seeing why it's a joke. But I mean, he is a good coach. This team, this Vikings team that we're watching right now, we've been talking about it in the group chat forever. And you could call me a hater, but this team it's not talented, man. I mean, they're old, they're slow, and when it comes down to it, they don't got the quarterback either. So it's just, but all that being said, they're going to be back next year. Their young guys are going to step up. They're going to re-sign the pieces they need. They got a lot of guys on 1-year deals, but
they're going to have a
football coach.
They're going to have a tumultuous offseason because not only do you have the quarterback issue, I mean, the big J journos are throwing around his name as a possible, like, some teams might try to trade for Kevin O'Connell. Like, they're going to deal with that all offseason. They're going to deal with Darnold mess all offseason, and then they're going to have JJ, who looked oddly like out of shape and not healthy when we saw him on Sunday Night Football. Looked really weird, surfer boy hair. Didn't mind that, but like he looked like a shrimp. Like he looked nothing like he did at Michigan. It was kind of alarming for Rollins and I, who are Michigan fans and we watched him for his 3 years. He didn't look good. I mean, obviously, he could still just be rehabbing from the injury, right, and not be in full shape. But when they panned to him and they were like, "This is the future of the franchise." It's like, this kid's this 12-year-old looking surfer boy who I love. 100%. I love JJ. 2023 and 2024 national champs. If Ohio State wins, we're the national champs. He's awesome, right? But they're gonna have to entrust the whole franchise in him. And my God, if KOC leaves, what is that? I mean, the whole JJ development's gonna go out the window. It's gonna be rough in there. So they're gonna have as a Vikings fan, it's gonna be a very painful. Every notification that comes from NFL is going to be a heart drop, because it could be some bad news coming.
Yep. All right. We definitely got to make a move here. Sean, what were you going to say?
No, I do just think some of the reason he looked bad was just kind of, that definitely does take a toll on, his mental health, not being able to play for that 100%. Year. And, So we'll have to see how he does turn out next year. And, we'll be talking about it, I'm sure, in August when OTAs are starting, and we'll see how things are going for that team.
Yeah, he'll probably come back to camp and look like freaking Superman. So
Yeah,
he's a
I hope
stud.
so.
I'm a Michigan State guy.
For
Sean's a
him.
Michigan State guy, but JJ's a dog. He can rip it. I really, for our perspective, I don't care who plays quarterback for him. I don't really worry about the other teams that we're playing, but I want to see JJ play and rip it and make it happen. But I would say a good pivot here with some of these teams we've talked about now is Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, right? They're both going to be gone. I would say that Aaron Glenn is gone 100%. I mean, he is 100% deserving. He's been incredible. And the fact that he stayed on with us again for this year is awesome. And hopefully we bring it home. But where does he end up? I think it's between two spots. And then Ben Johnson. Now, Ben Johnson, I don't think is as much of a lock. And I think Schefter and Rappaport have been reporting this now that it's not as much of a lock for him to go somewhere. I do think I know where he's going to end up, but let's circle back to Aaron Glenn. Where does everybody think he's going? I mean, we can keep it quick, but I think it's pretty set in stone between two teams. But
I go ahead, Sean.
I just got him going back to Saints. He played there. I think that's where he wants to be. It was a little weird seeing that he was tied to the Jets, seeing that was a top kind of choice for him.
Well, he played for him. He played for the Jets.
I get that. I don't see that really as a team. I think their defense is pretty soft as well. And if anything, I feel like Saints just kind of like I could just picture that for
they need the culture. 100%. They need the culture.
And here's the thing with the Jets too. Like Aaron Glenn could go in there and make their defense with the talent that they have. He can make them good, but I don't think that he's gonna. I mean, the Jets. There's so much disarray. It seems like Woody Johnson's kids running the team. Like it's a real thing. It's a real report that's been widely talked about. Pat McAfee, pardon my take, whatever you want to talk. They've all. I mean, it's a real question of what the hell is going on there. Like I don't think that's an attractive for the job for the number one of the.
They're not leaving Detroit to go take that dumpster job. That's why Ben hasn't left yet either. No, I think a team that you could look out for is now. I don't know how much there is to it, but the fact that the Dallas Cowboys job's open is interesting. Now they can't talk to AG or Ben since they waited to screw Mike McCarthy the way they did, which is classic Jerry Jones. I mean, just pathetic. But they didn't fire him. They just didn't renew his contract.
And listen to this: 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, and then whatever their record was this year, gone.
It's a roster. It's a roster issue. It's a roster issue. They didn't build a roster to compete this year. They thought that signing Zeke back was going to solve the.
What are we doing?
They came in the year. I mean, obviously this isn't documented, but I did think that they were going to win about 7 games. There's too many holes. They invested $100 million in the 2 players in Dak and CD. They can't pay Micah because they need way too many more spots on their team. So, I mean, it is Dallas Cowboys, though. Somebody is going to get that job. And I wouldn't doubt if he takes a Saints job before that, good for him, because I wouldn't want to wish anybody upon working under Jerry Jones ever. But the Cowboys job now being thrown there, we've already had Belichick talk about he would have been interested. He already came out and said that he would have been interested if he knew that job was open. It's going to be interesting to see who goes there, but ultimately, I do think he does. AG ends up with the Saints. It just makes too much sense. He's already coached there. It just makes sense.
Just a little sidebar at halftime of the Monday night game here. I don't know. I don't know if it was Laura Rutledge or who it was, but it was at the halftime show. The first thing that they reported when they were talking about the Cowboys head coach search is that they've already reached out to Deion Sanders.
Adam Schefter just
oh my God, it's going to happen
5 minutes ago saying Jerry Jones is talking to him.
That is ultimate chaos. Deion said multiple times he doesn't want to coach in the pros. He doesn't like the thought of coaching pros. Dude, how do you turn down the Cowboys and all that spotlight? Deion's a star boy at the end of the day, man. Dude, he wants to go out there and party on that star right in the middle of the field. And
he'll get
Jumbotron and dude.
He'll get Shadur and Travis there, 100%. It'll 100%. He'll find a way.
There.
He'll just trade everything. He'll just trade everything. He'll just trade everything.
I don't know at this point if Shadur is even. I mean, who knows how this quarterback class plays out? But I don't know if he's going to go in the top 10. I just don't. I don't see it. But
what this Cowboys thing is like we were alluding to the contracts.
who wants to take over that dumpster fire, man? I mean,
you're in cap hell.
You're not even taking it over.
You have half your salary, if not more, on 2 guys, and you can't
Yeah.
even sign your best player. He's predicted to leave.
And the quarterback's
Yeah.
not the guy.
We'll
No.
get
He's
to
not
the
the guy.
Micah Parsons talk after the season's over.
Yeah.
Hey, quick hypothetical. We were talking about this earlier at work this week, talking with some Browns fans here in Ohio. Jahmyr Gibbs for Myles Garrett. Straight up, no kicker. At the deadline this year, would you have done it?
No shot.
No shot.
No.
Zero shot.
You're not taking
Zero
on that
shot.
contract, that age, for what looks like is going to be a multiple-time offensive player of the year winner.
Yep.
It's just it's just dumb. You have him in the prime of his career, and it's even when it comes time we have to extend him, he's not going to get more than $20 million a year, and with the way that we preserved his miles with Monty, like Monty's going to be around for a while too. They're still going to be in great tandem. So when it comes to extending, he's not going to have nearly the tread that a Saquon Barkley did on his tires, right?
Yeah, he's
or
going to cost
Derrick
us
Henry
something.
did.
He's not going to be.
Yeah, he's going to cost you 15 to 20 mil a year, but like it's going to be more worth our money. The fact that he doesn't have as many carries logged as some of these other guys did.
I mean, man, you had psychos that were saying to trade Jahmyr Gibbs for Myles Garrett and 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Insanity, dude.
But the trade deadline was going on. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, that was definitely crazy. And honestly, hot take for me is I think Gibbs would have led the league in rushing if he got the same amount of touches as Saquon.
He would have led the league in all-purpose yards. He already did in touchdowns, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't have even been close. I love Monty though, and there's a reason I am not worried about that is because
100%.
I don't need Gibbs taking those hits every single game.
We don't
And that is going to wear down
the ball like
on
he
those
did in
running
the
backs.
last half of the season.
Yeah.
Did we lose?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Luce. You might have see if you can text him or something. But one thing, okay, Sam Darnold. Oh, that's a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one thing we can kind of talk about is Ben Johnson. I don't know what's going to happen with Ben. I know we were kind of talking in our chat a little bit with him going to the Raiders. I just can't see that. Like, I really can't. I mean, yes, you have Brock Bowers. Yes, you have Max Crosby. What the hell is he going to do with the offense and defense?
Yeah.
Like, the only team I could see him going to and thriving, which I would totally hate, but, those Cincinnati Bengals, I would love to see what he would do with that offense. Joe Burrow, Jamar, T. Higgins, which we don't know what's going to happen with T. Higgins yet, but
I think so.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. I think Ben. Man, I don't know. I think he might just be coming back.
I think the most logical swindle is Tom Brady getting him to the Raiders and selling him on what they have coming. But even though that team's in disarray, they're going to be trading guys. They're going to be offloading a lot of guys. The roster is not good. Is not great outside of Max and Brock. And they don't have a quarterback. They're going to have to draft one. But that's the only way. Who knows? Because it's looking muddy. I'm hearing Jackson Dart might be the highest graded quarterback, which is, he's a really good college player, but it's going to be, I think that would be the only person who gets to know him is Tom talking to him and getting him there in Las Vegas.
My thing with Ben is if we win the Super Bowl, I think he's gone. But he's also said multiple times that he's not going to go somewhere unless he feels comfortable.
100%. Yep.
And the only place that I really could have saw him going was the Patriots. And
I agree with that.
That's off the board now because they got Vrabel coming in, and I think he would have done wonders with May there. And I think that's where T. Higgins is going to end up. We can go back on that. They need a receiver so bad, and it's not even funny. And I think that's who they're going to
need a couple.
Yeah. I think they're going to sign one in the offseason, and then with that pick, I'm thinking they got to either go another receiver or maybe even if Hunter falls to them, they got to take him.
What do they have, 3 or 4?
I think they have 3.
So what is it? Titans?
Let's go pull that draft order. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at if they want to take Hunter, if they want to take him as a receiver, right, or they play him at corner, that's a whole different story. But then you're looking at guys like I think McMillan's probably the out of Arizona. I'm not going to try down that first day. I'm not going to try. He's probably the best overall wide receiver prospect. Luther Burden too had a pretty quiet year but he's still a really legit prospect. So those are the big three receivers. And I imagine that if they don't want Travis and someone wants to take him as a cornerback, they could maybe trade down and try to sneak one of those guys in there, right? Get as much capital as they can to fill out that roster.
Yeah, they got number 4.
Yeah, it goes Titans, Browns,
4.
Giants, Patriots, Jags is a top 5. In which I heard Ben Johnson's name being, brought up with the Jags, but I still can't see it going there. I just, man,
not a great franchise, no history, but the offense is there, right? You got Trevor, you have Brian Thomas.
Is Trevor
I don't know.
really,
The Trevor
really
thing's
that
funny.
guy?
The Trevor discourse is still up in the air, right? He won a playoff game down 28 points, but he's just kind of like last year in the regular season. They were like 7-0. They were like lighting the league on fire, and then it just the bottom completely fell out. And obviously, he takes that hit from Shire this year and is out for the last half. But I don't know. I think that would be the only thing that would open Ben's eyes. Oh, I got Trevor Lawrence. I got Brian Thomas. I have Evan Ingram. Like, it's a fun offense, right? And it's an owner that's willing to spend. Like, they thought they had the best roster they've ever had this year, and then we all saw how that ended up happening. So it would be interesting, but I don't think he would take it because head coach of Jaguars, offensive coordinator of the best team in the NFL. Like, I don't know,
Another coach too that we sent in the group chat that we were kind of talking about was Hank Fraley interviewing for the Seahawks job.
Yeah, that was really interesting for me. I don't know I couldn't tell off the top of my head like what offensive line coach went to be an offensive coordinator, right? So that would be interesting, but I hope to God he doesn't leave. Like, we love him here. I mean, the offensive line is the heartbeat of the city, basically, or the heartbeat of the team, especially. So that would be a tough.
That's the reason we have all the success we do is because of those guys up there.
100%. 100%.
Coming in when guys are hurt, and it actually looks phenomenally good because he's getting prepared by dudes like Hank Fraley, and like they just have dudes ready. It's always next man up, and I mean that's a testament to the coaches, which is
whether it's Dan Skipper, Christian Mahogany, or Iowa Sika. Yeah,
Mahogany's gonna be fun, man.
Yeah, he's gonna be good. He played with some nastiness to him in that Bears game.
Yeah, I think they had, I think it was Ragnow or somebody mic'd up, whoever was right next to him, or maybe it was Decker, the game that he came in, and man, Decker was like, "Dude, you're going crazy right now. You're just smoking." He was giving him a lot of praise, so I thought that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no, it definitely was.
Should we talk Pistons? Should we talk our Pistons?
Yes, sir. Let's get on them.
Let's do it. Pistons have a huge win tonight. What was the final score? 124-119 final score? I have that right?
I believe so. 124-119.
I mean, hey, we're looking at a team that has just completely taken off here at the turn of the year in 2025. What are they, like 7-1 or 8-1 in their last year since that's the win streak stopped? But man, I've been out on the NBA for a while. Like, obviously, the Pistons have been bad for basically since, you could say, 2004. You can give them 2007. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they've basically been bad for almost 20 years, like unwatchable bad. But this team is fun. They're young. They fly around. They slash. They shoot the ball, and just like every team, and they shoot the ball well. And the favorite thing about watching them is obviously, well, Cade's a star, and he's a star I've been looking for all-star Cade Cunningham.
All-star starter. The man, NBA's just now hopping on his dick right now because, they think he's just now coming up, bro. He was doing this last year. He's just finally got some help. They're 10-2 in their last 12 games right now.
Insane.
They're playing insane. Shout out to the signings of Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr. Malik Beasley might be the sixth man of the year. The way he has come in.
Yeah.
And
I think he's starting right. Is he starting right now or no?
Yeah, he's starting right now because of Jalen Ivey, which that was so sad to see. It looked like Ivy and Cade were finally just starting to get together, start finally meshing together perfectly. Last year, a lot of people were calling for Ivy to be traded, saying
we're not even going to talk about that Monty Williams garbage. He can just take his money and go to Cancun. I mean, that's just what a disaster. But hey, good on Tom Gorse and them, right, for acknowledging that they made a horrific mistake. They blew it all up, right? And after blowing up, they get Trajan Langdon to come in here. They hired JB Bickerstaff, who I thought was wrongfully fired from Cleveland. I don't think he had anything to do with them losing their playoff series. And JB has, I mean, I swear every time they pan the camera to him, he is lighting someone up. Like he is preached a ferocity into this team. You can see it with the way they run. Like there was a stretch at the end of the first quarter where they were flying around, getting steals. They were having fun, and they were absolutely slashing the Knicks, right? And then it ended up coming back. It was a really good ball game to watch. But the team's fun. They play fast. They play hard. They shoot the ball really well. And it's been fun to actually watch a competitive basketball team. And like, look, I think the 6th seed's a real possibility. Like, not just getting the play in. I want a real play. I think it's a possibility with the way Cade's playing, and barring any injuries, right? And who knows, the trade deadline. We've been hoping and praying for Devin Booker. I don't know if it's going to happen. That's a huge deal, but it's been really fun to watch.
Hey, I wanted to allude on it, but I mean, Saturday we have Pistons 5:00 playing the Suns.
With Devin Booker going to the game after, tune into that, boys. I'm telling you.
Listen, I wouldn't mind him staying in town for a little bit longer too.
Yeah.
Cade, but I mean, Cade, he's not going to win MVP, but man, he should get at least a couple votes for it. I mean,
100%.
The way he has been balling, 36 tonight, and he's been averaging, I think, 24 points a game.
He ended up with 36 points tonight.
Yeah. And
he didn't even play in the first half. He had 4 fouls. He had 7 points at halftime, but he had 4 fouls.
Shooting very good either. I was following along. He wasn't.
Oh my goodness.
Shooting, and 36 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds. Not as many as he's usually been having. He usually distributes the rock a lot more.
He had 17 the other night on Saturday.
Yeah, he had 10 the first.
Ridiculous.
But he can do it all, man. And the league just
the post game. We're gonna talk about the post game. Is there anybody that plays better on the block than Cade Cunningham in the entire league? Right, this guy is cooking on the block. They do the pick and rolls, right? They get the smaller guys on him, and he just absolutely fries them. They'll run post up sets for him to get him isolated on the block, off the ball. They'll screen for him off the ball, get him isolated on the block, and then it's barbecue chicken. Like he's the best player. He's the best block
back to the hoop.
He's the best player on the block in the league, regardless of position.
Yeah, and definitely one thing to see right now is, they're in the 8th seed right now, and everyone's like, oh, like they're still not there. But if you look, they're 3 games out of the 4 seed.
Oh, so they're in reach of it. Yeah, 100%.
They're doing just fine. They're way ahead of schedule, which does scare me a little bit on how we're going to approach the deadline. Like we kind of alluded to a little bit, I would love to, take Devin Booker here. I think that's a guy who would just thrive.
It's going to cost you a lot. Who's that going to cost you? Is that going to cost you a Nassar? Is that going to cost you a Ron Holland? Is that going to cost you a Jaden Ivey?
It could cost you a Jaden Ivey, and that's where
and that's on top of capital.
Yeah,
right.
And which we do have capital, and I'd be. Oh, there goes Kyron. But I would be perfectly fine, with seeing what happens with that. But man, it's so exciting to finally see the Pistons winning ball games. Playing with some type of motive, man. Like last year was just like, damn, are we really rooting for them to get that record of losing 28 in a row? Like
it was it was like, let's go to the crowd starting to be higher towards like loss 23, 24, and 25 because they wanted to see them lose all the games and every game. They just it was a clown show.
I think the other thing is that like every single one of these guys that are on this team, they just play the game hard. Just looking at the stats, like we don't have anybody that's like grabbing 20 boards a game, but they're all grabbing 6 to 8 boards. Every single one of them. And it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's Cade or if it's Ron Holland. Like every single dude is getting in there and grabbing boards, no matter if they're on the bench or not.
And like, don't get me wrong, I love how we're drafting the athletic guys, the young guys, but we brought in Fred Vincent, who he's our shooting guy. He's gonna fix Asur, hopefully fix Ron's shot. He fixed Lonzo's shot. He fixed a bunch of guys on the Pelicans who have shot, Herb Jones and Murphy there as well.
Trey Murphy had a good year, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely helping out a lot, but at some point you got to start looking into why are we, drafting so much athletic, kind of start taking things a little bit to the bigger side. I know, Luce, we were talking about this a little. Duran's a freaking animal. The kid's unbelievable. He's
I
he's
love
20
Jalen
years
Duren.
old. He's
I swear
21
he
or
gets
something.
he gains 2 to 5 pounds of muscle every time I see him on television.
He
He
is
is a
gigantic.
absolute monster down there. He looks huge, and he's not tall, but his stature is he's just
Dude,
takes
he
up so
jumps
much
out of the
space.
freaking gym. Like he's
Yeah.
he's a freak, man. I
And
know he's pretty
especially
limited
what
as to what he
Cade
can do. He's not great in a pick and roll. He can't switch. Obviously he's not shooting the ball a ton, but
But hey,
I mean,
look at a
he's
guy like
force, man. He's a force. We've seen guys be successful. We've seen Robert Williams from the Celtics. We've seen Mitchell Robinson when he's been healthy for the Knicks. Jared Allen, even though he's a little bit thinner, but these
look at a
big
guy like
rebounding, dunking, alley-oop, finishing. What's the kid's name from the Mavericks that was playing so well last year?
Derek Lively.
Derek
Yeah,
Lively.
dude,
Yeah,
like he was a presence.
Well,
Like
he can
was,
shoot at that outside, and I think that's one thing that's lacking a little bit from us taking that extra step right now. Is we do have Isaiah Stewart if he can stay out of foul trouble, and he's our defense guy. Love his effort on defense. That's what he's in there for. That's why our defense has taken a jump. But yeah, we do. I think I'm excited to see kind of this trade deadline, what's going to happen, if we're going to target anyone or if we're just going to roll with our guys. Definitely got to see what we're doing there. And, one guy that I could see us possibly going for, which for a big guy, because we are lacking a little bit, is possibly Jonas Valanciunas or, Vucevic from the Bulls.
yeah.
Both those guys can shoot it from the outside.
There's some guys who can spread the floor from the 5 spot. Yeah.
Because you definitely, obviously, you're always going to run that pick and roll with Cade as your point guard. That's just bread and butter for him. And but being able to space it out more gives Cade even more room. And tonight, what I was saying is, watching that Knicks game, Cade's driving down, the whole defense collapse on him. He's kicking out to Asur, which, don't get me wrong, Asur is young. He's still learning how to, get his shot correct. And Asur ended up airballing that shot. But, that's one thing where, drafting these younger guys, it's going to take some time to build up. But Asur is probably our best defender. He's a freaking freak. He's always running, always, getting better on that defensive side. So I love having him on the team. It's just definitely got to get him a shot and have him become a little bit of a scorer so teams aren't just lagging off of him and helping on Cade.
I would say to kind of wrap up Pistons talk, like we talked about it a little bit. We talked about Devin Booker, Spartan Dog, by the way. If Izzo would have been paying players back in the day, he would have been a Spartan, but that's a topic for another day. I think the question is does this team need a second star? Does it need Devin Booker? Or does it need, a second star? Probably a wing, two guard type player could work, but probably a wing. Like, is that moving forward, whether it happens at the deadline or in the offseason this year, regardless of what happens this year? Is that the move you make, or do you run with the guys that you have, right? I don't know what Ivy's timetable is, but he is going to be back this season, correct? Because it was that fractured fibula.
They had him slated in for March 7th.
Yeah, they said like 4 to
That's
8
not bad.
weeks. So because it was just a fracture of the fibula, a little small bone in the leg. So I really I hope he comes back in enough time where we can see that click, because I don't think obviously cap space and free agency can play a factor, but
Which
I
we have
feel
a ton of,
every
by the
NBA
way.
free agent is so expensive now, and the contract are so big. But does this team need another star, or is it okay with the core that we have to move forward and run it back next year?
I think they're in a great position to where either or I think they can do. I think sticking with the young core is the way to go.
That's Rylene too, I think.
At least for this year. And then when the offseason comes, that's when you go get somebody. I think Ivy's shown us too much promise.
God, he was playing so well before he got hurt. Like those 3 games before the game winner in Sacramento, he was balling, dude.
So I think they do need another superstar, but I'm not sure if this would be the year. Yes, it's great having the success right now, and we want to have them go to the playoffs and make a run. But I think long term, I think it would be better to wait. But like I said, I think they have the ability to do either or, and I knock on wood. I don't think they can screw it up, especially with somebody like Cade with them. But just, I think it's up to them.
Yeah, I think you got to trust. It's just how much do you trust in Jaden Ivey to take over that role? And if so, I think the move then becomes let's get Cade his pick and roll partner for the next 5 years, like a 4 or 5, someone that can spread it out, the dominating force, the do it all big down low. I think that's where you look to go and spend your superstar money with, right? If you're going to get one, I think you go look in the front court for a dominating force that can be Cade's pick and roll partner, and that's all going to come down to do we trust Jaden Ivey as the Pistons as an organization? Do they trust Jaden Ivey to become that kind of the Batman to Robin kind of superstar in the backcourt?
And I wouldn't mind, kind of wrapping up here with the Pistons. I wouldn't mind this trade deadline just asking around, seeing what is worth,
100%.
what picks,
What's the price?
Yeah, what's the price? Kind of just getting something to know that we can have in our mind. Maybe we just ride it out with the season, see where we go. But you got to be able to ask around so that we know a little bit of where we're going to be at if it were to come in and be like, hey, Ivy's not going to come back. He's having a setback. We might need to get someone. Can we get someone cheaper, dish him out in the offseason kind of thing? So that's kind of where I'm at. And kind of going from there, obviously we can keep it with the Detroit. I mean, how about them damn Red Wings? What is it, 7 or 8 in a row now?
Yeah.
They're playing effing hockey.
It's since they brought in this interim coach, like
McClellan.
Night and day with these cats. And they're just flying around, look like they actually enjoy being there. I mean, it's looking like it was at the end of the year, and it's feeling like that too. And once again, they're another team that's playing Saturday night. I mean, Detroit's just going to be bumping. I mean,
they're playing like noon, right? They're at noon, and then Detroit, and then the Pistons are at 4.
They play at 7.
Yeah, they play at 7 right before.
Well, there's no way they're not both playing in Detroit, are they?
No, they're in Tampa.
Yeah,
okay.
They're playing the Lightning.
But they got the Sharks
already
tomorrow.
moved. Pistons already moved.
The Sharks terrible?
To keep the traffic out of the city.
Yeah, the Sharks are terrible. Yeah, they've won 7 of their last. They've won 7 in a row. They got the Sharks tomorrow, which they should move that to 8, and then from there, I think we're a point out right now. We're definitely standing in a really good spot to see 7 games ago. We were like, damn, we're not even going to make the playoffs. We're not even worth this. Like, is the Yzerman plan a joke? Which I was totally on that, saying Yzerman plan was a complete joke. He wasn't doing anything. But now seeing these young guys come in, Patrick Kane is absolutely thriving.
Showtime is back.
He's leading the NHL in points, I think, in the last 7 games or something like that. Or I think he has 5 goals in the last 3 games. Like, he's just showing out. There's a reason he's called Showtime. We're at 44 points, and the wild card is at 46. So definitely something to monitor there. And it's just fun, Detroit sports kind of getting back to, where it was when we were kind of growing up and, being able to watch it.
Yeah, I think Kaner has 12 points during the win streak, which is leads the league, right?
Yeah.
But I think it speaks to when you see a team that's going on any type of streak in any sport, regardless of what it is. And you saw it with the Lions this year, when you're going on a winning streak 5, 6, 7 in a row, and then the next game, you come out, no matter who it is, let's say, where I'm getting to is the Kraken game. You come out there on a 6-game heater and you still are blowing teams out of the water. They are rolling, right? They are thriving in, I don't know if you'd call it a new system. I would say more of a mindset, right? Of just get out there and just play, right? Nothing more to it. Hey, let's practice for more than an hour. All right, yeah. Derek, let's practice for more than an hour. Okay, let's get out there and let's just run it up, right? You're seeing the whole team look reinvigorated. Larkin, Raymond, freaking Showtime. It was, I thought he'd be the same after the hip, right? And now he's out here. He's balling. He's one of the best players in the league right now over these last few weeks. So I'm not as a huge hockey guy, but they have me compelled, right?
Mo Sider, that's a big guy.
Yeah,
he's a big body too.
Big body.
Him. He definitely, has helped our defense out. Our defense has been a huge problem last couple of years.
They were soft. We were soft.
But it's definitely nice to kind of see them on this win streak. Even if it's, obviously it's not going to last the rest of the year. We're not going to fucking win out or anything. But, it is nice knowing that, like, they are this kind of team. They get this confidence. This is kind of what helps, it's kind of like going back to the Lions, when we start off 1-6, won a bunch of games, got back to 9-8. That kind of stuff just, thrives within a team.
That bled over into the 2022 season, man. We knew we were going to be in a good spot because we were able to go down there and take out Rodgers in that meaningless football game, right? And no, but
shout out Sean, first F-bomb of the show. Shout out Sean, first F-bomb of the show.
My apologies for that.
Yeah, but I just think it goes to show like how the city will rally behind teams. The NFL is finding out what the hell Detroit's about. The Major League Baseball, I think, has been dying to get the Tigers back, and you can see it in the way that they've been marketing us, I think, this offseason as well. And but now with the Red Wings too, like, man, the Red Wings have they not only do it will people in Detroit go crazy for the Red Wings, but there are Red Wings fans all over the country because of how good they were from the 90s and into all the way through the 2000s. And so there are fans coming out in spades, and I think it's going to be Detroit continuing to show its teeth. And I think the next step is getting people these Pistons games. And I know that the NBA viewership is down, and at times it's a bad product, but I think people need to wake up to understanding how good the Pistons are as well, and start packing LCA out. And it'll only help everything with all the teams in the city. And when we get to the baseball talk, hopefully help our guys spend some more money for us. But I think our next pivot here before we get to really the main event outside of the Lions for us with the Tigers, but we got to talk some college hoops. We got to talk about both of these basketball teams right now. Obviously, Sean and I, Michigan State fans, Rollins and Brock are Michigan fans, and Dusty May got the boys rolling immediately, which I think if you had a brain, you knew that Dusty May, he was the hot guy to hire this last cycle, and he hit the ground running. He's recruiting his butt off, and I mean they got some real deal big men on that team. And but I'll start with our Spartans, Sean. This is a vintage Tom Izzo team. It's some nameless faces, right? But also it may seem that way, but it's going to end up to the couple of these guys are going to play in the league. They're fast, they're physical, and they do what we grew up on and what you hear all the time. And anybody that's played high school basketball in Michigan, you hear it from a coach, right? Defend, rebound, and run. And I think Jeremy Fears is the spearhead of that. And man, is he a breath of fresh air from AJ Hogard, who I just feel like clogged us up, turned the ball over, just caused chaos. And whereas Fears knows what he wants to do when he gets the ball, he's pushing the pace. He's running our stuff the way that we've ran it for 20 years. And we're smoking teams out of the gym, home, road, rain, sleet, or snow, Christmas break, no students there, no iZone. And as the Big Ten schedule now starts to pick up, I can't wait to see how we match up against the other powers of the Big Ten. But kind of what's your takeaways right now from the start for Sparty, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, man, 9 in a row right now. They're just blowing teams out of the gym. Coming into the year, the biggest question was we don't have Tyson Walker. We don't have our bucket getter. You could give him the ball when the game was on the line. You could give him the ball when the shot clock's going down. You knew he was going to get to line or make the shot. Going into this year, we have one senior on the team. Name is Jaden Akins. I mean, man, has he stepped up. It might not show in the stats. I think he's averaging like 14.1, and you're going to be like, okay, that's nothing. But he's our best He's one of our best defenders on the team. He's always defending the best guy on the other team. So that's taken a lot out of him, offensively as well, because, he is getting gassed on that defensive side. But, man, the leadership he has shown this year has been unbelievable. Like you were saying, Jeremy Fears, definitely a fresh air. He's got that, trash talking, but he's
always barking, man.
Yeah, always able to kind of calm down the offense as well, which, you love to see that. I love this team. The last 4 years we've been a poverty team. We've been, obviously we're going to get to the dance all the time. It's Izzo. He can coach good enough to get, the bad teams to the dance, and we have made a little bit of noise here and there. And I really did think that one year we were all watching up at school. They lost to Kansas State. I thought that was our year to
I thought
do
we had
something.
that game.
But yeah, I definitely think this year, like you said, it's a breath of fresh air, man. It's so much fun watching them. There's, in games now, I'm like, okay, like we get up. I'm not worried about
No,
losing that lead. I'm like,
No.
run it up. Get Nick Sanders in the game. Show me that elbow jumper. Put it in so Barry Sanders can tweet back out at us. And also when we have, it's college hoops. These kids are 18 to 22. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs throughout the games. And like that Ohio State game, up 15, we lose that lead a little on the road, which normally going to happen. That home team is going to come back at some point. But they had I think an 8-0 run, and then we answered with our own 8-0 run. And
to lose the lead up 15 and then regain and then pull away and end up, I think we won by 10. Like that just shows the teeth of this team and the ability. Cohen Carr is the most freakish athlete I think I've ever seen on a basketball court. Obviously, we know he lacks in certain skill departments in the game, but Xavier Booker, another freak, right? Where he's shown some flashes this year where he can just take over games, but also some flashes where he's running around and doesn't know what he's doing, not blocking out and losing an assignment. But I mean, he can switch. He can come out and guard the perimeter. He can finish at the rim, finish lobs. He could shoot the three. Like he's a guy that if he could put it all together, he's going to play in the NBA. Cohen Carr is a guy who's athletic enough to play in the NBA, and the guy we haven't talked about yet, who I saw in a mock draft earlier today on Twitter, is projected a top 10 pick, is Jace Richardson, who is like Jaden Akins has definitely been our guy, like as far as leading the team and getting us some buckets. But I think as we move down the stretch here, like Jace is going to be that guy where it's 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, like the guy that needs to go get us a bucket. It's going to be Jace Richardson. I mean, he is so good. Smooth left-handed jumper, deceptively athletic. Like he's small and a little bit slender. Like he definitely needs to get more physical if he wants to play in the NBA and really be successful. But he's going to be a special player. I hope we get him for more than a year. But
yeah, no, his split right now, I think he's shooting 57% from the field, 46 from three, and 90% from the free throw line. Like as a freshman, that kid is doing everything that we need him to. And one thing before we flip it over to the Michigan side, having those four guards, you talk about Jeremy Fears, Trey Holloman, Jaden Akins, and Jace Richardson. No wonder we're locking teams down, bro. We're just rotating defense in and out every single time.
Man, even in the front court, we're 10, 11 deep right now and comfortably in any game.
Exactly. And the big guy that we picked up from Longwood, everyone was like just talking mad shit about Izzo not using the portal. And, that's something Dusty May did really good at. He hit on all his portal hits. But, I thought Zapala has been just an unreal addition to this team, having a 7-footer. He's blocking shots. I think he's only averaging like 6 points, but dude, he does a lot more than what his stats show. I think Jackson Kohler has taken that leap as well. And so it's just nice. It's nice to see this, MSU team back to where it was when we were growing up. And, it kind of sucks, right when we get back, it seems like Michigan's starting to get back as well. And, I'll turn it over to Brock and Seth on that end. And, they're coming up. I think we got matchup February 21st, and then
it's crazy how long we got to wait to play them again. It's ridiculous. It's I can't stand that we have to wait so long.
Yeah, it is crazy. But that final game, I'm going to predict. I'm going to go out on a hot take here. I think that final game of the year will be for the Big Ten championship regular season game.
Probably.
And that's just going to be what is so much fun. And Brock, like you said earlier, the reason college hoops is more fun this year is because Michigan and Michigan State are both back, and it makes everything more enjoyable for us. But I'll turn it over to you Wolverine boys, and you guys can hit up on your team before we end up talking too much love about MSU.
I think the biggest thing is that with how the Juwan Howard era ended, right? There was something to it at the beginning, right? For some good runs, whatever, but with how it ended and what disarray the program was left in after the John Beeline, after he left for the NBA, and it was a disaster, and he should have never left in the first place, right? And it's something that was, I believe, he regretted, right? And the breath of fresh air to watch a Michigan basketball team who was in the 2010s, right? You had your Trey Burks, like all those teams, like they were dominant. They were consistently in the picture. Them and Michigan State both, right? Michigan basketball was, I don't know about you, Rollins, but like the Lions were were not very good. Pistons not very good. Tigers just beginning to fall off. Red Wings not very good, right? Michigan basketball and Michigan football also kind of hovered around that 9-10 win range, not a contender. They were the team. They were the team that was the most consistent winner as far if you were a Detroit and Michigan Wolverine fan, they were the most consistent winner. And to see them, what Dusty's done in his first freaking year, man, obviously him being able to bring in Golden and Wolf, call it a law firm, call them the Twin Towers, call them whatever you want to call them. These guys are a tandem that we have not seen. You'd be hard pressed to find a tandem of 7-footers who complement each other so well. One being like a primary or almost the primary ball handler for the team, right? Shout out Trey Donaldson, we'll get to him in a second. But I mean, this guy, Danny Wolf and Golden. Golden had 36 the other night. Like Wolf's leading the team rebounds every night. Donaldson's leading the team in assists every night. Like they're all playing 30 minutes a game. There's not as much depth. They have about 9 guys who play, right? But most of the time it's those 5 starters running it. And I mean, they're just out there getting after it. I mean, if you can't get these big guys in foul trouble, I just don't see how you stop them, right? I think State has well equipped to throw as many bodies as you can at them. But I mean, Danny Wolf's averaging a double-double, right? The turnovers can be a problem with him. There's almost 4 a game, but that's what you're going to get when he has the ball. He's so ball dominant, right? And then Golden averaging almost 15 points a game. You got all 5 starters averaging over 10 points a game, right? You got Namari Barnett shooting 50% from 3-point range. Trey Donaldson, who plays literally 30 minutes a game, he's shooting 43%, right? He's leading the team in assists. He's got the ball in his hands at all times. He's been a breath of fresh air to watch too at the point guard position. Kind of reminds me of a Xavier Simpson type, right? Where we had him for all those years, but probably a lot better athlete, better shooter. But it's been a breath of fresh air. I cannot wait for these juggernaut matchups that these Michigan and Michigan State games are going to be.
Yeah, you hit Golden and Wolf is like those are the core. I mean, they are just absolutely off. And like we said, Dusty May, I mean, he has been, like you said, it feels like we're back in the Beeline era. Like, I remember crying when they lost against Louisville back in the national championship. I was bawling my eyes out. But, I mean, these guys have 3 losses.
Luke Hancock.
Three losses, and they've all been by 2 or less points. I mean, they are playing good ball. They're in every single game, and like just beat UCLA the other night. And as we were talking about, Big Ten conference play is starting to ramp up here, and they got Purdue coming up, Oregon.
And like Michigan went on the road to the West Coast and won both those games. They beat USC and UCLA, right?
They also went on the road. They went on the road to Wisconsin in the first Big Ten game of the year when they were top 10 or 11 now, and they won.
Your first West Coast road trip, and UCLA is one of the top 4 teams right now.
We'll get to them later. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, as far as odds to win the conference, but I mean, to go out there and clean up a West Coast trip, I think shows the teeth of that team. And Sean, I think you said earlier before we started the show, but neither Michigan State or Michigan has lost a basketball game at home or on the road. They've only lost neutral site games. So it was beginning of the year Classic. Michigan State got their teeth kicked in the Champions Classic because that's what we do. That's just part of the gig. We go there, we get slaughtered, and then we move on with our lives. That's how it happens. Stars are born against Michigan State in the Champions Classic. Tyrese Maxey, I'll never forget it. Banking in 35-foot threes. I'll never forget that ever.
I think
Tyrese Maxey.
The biggest thing with this Michigan team is just how like Brock, you were alluding to it. This program was an absolute shambles win.
I mean, yeah, Juwan Howard left it in an absolute dumpster fire. He was assaulting other coaches like once a week.
It was like we were playing AAU one-on-one basketball, and I think the biggest thing is May came in and like he's got these guys dishing the rock out. They're playing how basketball should be played. It's not none of this AAU one-on-one how the game has been transferred to. No, they're playing the game the right way. And I think the big thing is he knew that this program, the state that it was in, and he came in his first week, and he was going to the frat parties and was going up to the frats and partying with them and saying, "Hey, we need you guys to come out, pack the stands for the games. We need something again."
Going
And
on college
speaking
game
of
day, Texas game.
speaking of knowing the state and knowing the program, Trey McKinney, you're gonna want to get a good look at him. He's number one player in the state for next year. He's coming to Ann Arbor. All right, and it's a big physical guard. He talked about a guy who can go get a bucket. Yeah, he's coming, and Dusty's done a great job recruiting, and I think it's just gonna keep going.
They're gonna keep going, dude. They're gonna keep going.
He came in instantly and grabbed the number one kid in the state instantly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I don't know what the deal was with Izzo and Michigan State not having. I don't know how that played out.
We did back off of that, but he was going to Michigan, I think, regardless. Which he had Georgetown in his lineup as well, which trash program, and that was definitely a good pickup by Dusty, and I'll give it to Dusty, man. The fact that he went into the portal, grabbed the guys he needed and wanted,
and he knew the guys he knew.
He recreated his FAU team that went to the Final Four. Not recreating with the same players, but recreating the same way they've played. And one thing I will say is I am nervous for that matchup.
100%.
I mean, I do think we're going to end up splitting kind of like we always do. But I think Michigan is the hardest out for MSU this year. The two big.
They're going to be absolute rock fights, dude. They're going to be absolute rock fights of games. It's going to be an absolute war of attrition.
I hate the Chrysler Center. I hate that place. It's ugly. I hate watching it on TV. It's hard to get into. I hate it.
I would love for the boys to be able to go. I think it might be on I don't know if it's a weekday or a weekend. It's 2/21. I think that might be.
I'm out for that one.
Sunday, March 9th is the last one, and then Friday, February 21st.
Yeah, maybe
I'll be in Illinois.
Oh yeah, you guys are all gonna have games. Maybe me and Brock will just go.
Yeah.
There you
go.
Run it up.
No, one thing, coming up, I'm so happy that State hasn't done their little drop some of the games they shouldn't yet. Like they have taken care of business, and it's good because I don't know if you boys have checked, but that February schedule coming up is insane. The whole February we go. So obviously we start coming up this next week, we play Illinois and then at Rutgers. But to start off February, we go at USC, at UCLA, home to Oregon, home to Indiana, at Illinois, home to Purdue, at Michigan, at Maryland, and then that wraps up our February. So if we're able to, in those 8 games, you go 6-2 or 5-3 at worst. Pretty much, I think we should be able to win the Big Ten, as long as we continue to take care of those games. But, Michigan's schedule and the way they're playing right now, man, they could wrap that thing up too by March. And
they can roll. They got a tough game against Purdue coming up here in a couple of weeks. But outside of that, man, they get Rutgers and Ace Bailey. They get him pretty soon here. But as far as, they up until February 11th where they play Purdue again, you could see them get on a real roll.
Oregon,
big time roll.
They play Oregon, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Okay, they do get Oregon.
Oregon's a pretty good team as well, and
it's at home though, right? It's at home for them because they'll play Michigan and then they'll come over and play Michigan State. I think.
But Oregon's damn near almost better on the road for some reason. They have been playing really good. They have a kid named Jackson Shellstead, which you boys are gonna be hearing that name a lot. He is outstanding, one of the best in-game closers I've seen. It's insane. He'll pull up from 35 feet and just absolutely drain it in your face. I like that Oregon team. They had a really great non-conference. I think they have 7 quad 1 wins already, which is kind of insane.
Holy crap.
But
Rams 27, Vikings 9 final.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Blowout.
Should we go ahead and do should we go ahead and
in Cancun, Justin Jefferson.
Should we go ahead and bury the Vikings?
Yeah, the Vikings are dead.
Dude,
I was so sick of all the garbage I saw on Twitter, was hearing from Twitter about Vikings this, Vikings that, and heading into the matchup.
Man, I love to see the Lions do that week 18.
Oh, that was so troll. But yeah, I was just if you just watched who they played, like, oh, they early knew they had so many good wins, like Niners, Texans, like those teams aren't good. They played two good teams in their schedule all year. The Packers are no good. They played the Rams. They played the Lions.
Dude,
They lost. They lost all the games. And
The
guess what? They lost all of their games all year to the four good teams they played, which were just the Lions twice and the Rams twice. They lost them all. Like it's a joke.
Crazy.
They were never good. The Brian Flores thing's a joke. Yeah, you're gonna flood out garbage teams when you just sit there with six on line and blitz them, right? They're not gonna be able to handle it. You're gonna flood out bad teams.
Yeah.
But when you get to a
He's gonna
team
get a
who
head
knows
coach.
what the
He's
Pistons,
gonna be a head coach again next year too.
whatever, he's gonna ruin a quarterback again. He's
Dude,
not.
the way
He's
that
gonna
thing
be.
played out in Miami, I was listening to some stuff about that. Like, I mean, he was a tyrant, and
Yeah,
he
and
went out bad for
you think
all
it's gonna
those
change?
races, and I don't know, but someone's gonna hire him because they saw that defense and have fun,
Good luck.
Brian Flores.
Good luck. Yeah, I'm sick of hearing about them. I don't want to hear about them
I hope he
next
goes
year.
to the
I mean,
Bears. That would be so much theater.
oh, it'd be so funny. Oh, it'd be so funny. I can't wait to see who they hire. They're probably gonna hire Mike McCarthy, which is gonna be the funniest thing of all time.
Have fun, Vikings fans. You got the AFC North next year too to add onto your schedule, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, the Lions. I don't know if we talk about that or not, but the schedule for the NFC
We'll
North
get to that later. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in the offseason. Yeah, it's
gonna be.
That's what you get for being good. You play a good schedule. So
I think that kind of wraps up our college hoops talk. And so I think obviously, like we said, with the four of us being former college baseball players, Rollins is still hanging on to the dream. Our hearts, I mean, we love the Lions. The Lions have been great. We love football, but I would say all of our hearts definitely lie in the baseball team here in town. And, throughout our entire childhood, just having the Tigers there in those 2010s, like they were special, man. Like all those guys, and it was the glory days of the Tigers. Obviously, we never got it done too, and then the dark ages of 2017 until all the way up until last year. Very, very dark times. The who's who of guys that were posting in that lineup. Oh, everyone, give me a Tiger from the 2020 to the 2023 season. Go.
Nico Goodrum,
Mikey Matuk, Dixon Machado, Brandon Dixon, Grayson Reiner, Jacoby Jones, Victor Reyes, Kristen Stewart.
This is ridiculous. This is off the top too.
Going off.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how else I got name off the game.
Horrendous.
Oh, let's go ahead and throw a shout out Andrew Romine though. Shout out.
Yes.
I mean, that doesn't even get into the pitchers, but
so
what a disaster.
I think where this starts, obviously this is I mean, it's still a big off season for us, even though not much has happened. I wouldn't say not much, but not as much as we would like has happened. The Gleyber Torres signing is a huge deal. What that's going to provide to our lineup, especially versus left-handed pitching, is absolutely vital to break up our left-handed hitters that are going to be in the lineup. But this team needs to add. I mean, there's no reason for us to not add to this roster of young players. We should not be satisfied with how things played out. And listen, the most important piece of this team moving forward is the Tigers player development and the pitching staff with Chris Federer and Robin Lund and everything they're doing there, as well as the entirety of the player development program, which Scott Harris has completely revitalized. But our players need to get better, number one, right? All of our guys need to level up because they showed that they can play in the big leagues. And so we need to see what guys can take those next steps and what guys are going to be here for the long haul. But we need to, and I think we know as fans, and I think the organization knows where we need to supplement the roster. And number one is a right-handed hitting third baseman. It's number one. It's not a question. It is an absolute need. We can't have Matt Vierling and Zach McKinstry playing everyday third base as a platoon. We need consistency. We need leadership for this young team. We need Alex Bregman. And it can't be it's gone on too long. And I know that were hung up over the 7th year, and that's kind of what's holding this thing back. We got to just Chris Ilitch,
Hey,
just
pizza
do it,
boy,
man.
wake up! All right,
Just do it. We'll figure it out. Lay an opt out in there in the 3rd or 4th year.
And guess what?
Just get him in the freaking uniform.
If it falters and he's not up to the production,
that's going to give us is unbelievable.
It's not
and
like
I don't think that's where it stops either. I think you got to go and get another arm. You have to. You have to.
there's a lot out there. There's a lot of weird, interesting, like Clayton Kershaw and Scherzer are out there. You know, obviously Flaherty, we would love to have Flaherty back.
Trade too. Luis Castillo is going to get traded. He is going to get traded.
It could be late, but yeah.
It's going to be late, but he's going to be traded.
The biggest thing with Bregman and not get hung up about the money is like we're not paying anybody. Like we could pay. I think we have like 70 million, almost 80 million allocated to payroll. We could pay 3 guys 30 million a year, okay, and then just be at that like 170 mark, right? For as far as
21st
like
in the league in payroll with a total of $71 million.
Yeah, so we could pay 3 guys an AAV of 30 million a year, which we wouldn't do, okay, outside of Scooble in a couple of years, and still be not even in the top half. We'd be struggling to be in the top half. You get 300 million until you go on the luxury tax. We would just be at the one over the 150 threshold. There's no reason this deal doesn't need to get done. He's got the connections with AJ. He gets to play his position. He doesn't have to go to play he's going to have to go play second base and he goes to Boston.
He's not doing.
I get hitting in that ballpark could be enticing. I know Comerica is kind of a graveyard, right? Especially for right-handed hitters. But like this is a guy who has a chance to kind of not rewrite his legacy, but almost repair his legacy from what was done in Houston, right? He was a direct benefactor of the juice baseballs. He was a direct benefactor, how involved he was or not, of the trash can scandal, right? He has a chance to come in here and completely revitalize the city, get us back to the World Series where we belong, right? This is not like the Tigers are not like a mid-market team. They're one of the original teams in the league.
That's the biggest
right?
joke.
They're one of the storied. They're one of the most storied franchises in the league. Like they belong in October every year, preferably all the way to the end of October. And this is a deal that is completely doable, right? Completely doable. If it's just 7 years, 180, who gives a shit, right? Just pay the guy, right? I know he's north of 30, but he's showed that he can post, right? He may not, the numbers, even if he's posting, may not be off the charts, but we need consistency at that position. We need a guy who's going to be there and hit 260 to 280 and hit 20 homers and live right at about 800 OPS. We just need that stabilizing force, and he can do that until he's age 36, like 36, 37.
You know what you're going to get with him in the postseason. Like you sign him,
dude. He's got like the 3rd most postseason homers of all time.
We got to the back end of that
31
with Cleveland, and the at bats just got so bad, and the swing and miss and the not cashing on opportunities. That was what killed us, right? And it was young, experienced guys. You can't blame them. You know, they're juiced up. They're wanting to make the swing and make the difference. But we need that steady and don't forget about Gleyber Torres, especially this year. I don't know if he's going to play with us after this year, but you need guys up there that can do it and that have proven they've done it, and they're going to post in the regular season. And then when they get to the playoffs, they're going to raise their level of play and they're going to lead you, right? And it's just such a no-brainer. And even if it's 7 years for 210, just do it.
There's no way he gets that. But yeah,
well, if it's 30 million a year and they're getting stuck up on the 6th to 7th year, just do it. I don't care. I don't care anymore. It's gone on too long.
You got to do something after the year that they had.
You can't sit on it. It's you can't do it.
And I've told you,
like Gleyber Torres cannot be your number 1 signing, and then Alex Cobb can't be your number 2, especially when you paid him as much as Justin Verlander got, right? That can't be the hallmark of your offseason.
Justin Verlander was not good last year. He's probably not going to be great 100%. This year.
Still
Alex
crazy
Cobb
though.
has a chance to be better or the exact same. Obviously, I love Justin Verlander. I'd love to see him just be on the team.
So crazy.
He's kind of a missed op, but
that before
those 2 names at that age get the same money. It's still crazy.
I'm not calling him by his name. He's going to be referred to as Pizza Boy until he forks over the cash. I'm sick and tired of this team being run like the mediocre pizza chain that he's got
Mike
run.
Ilitch would never.
It's
Mr. I would never.
That Mr. I. Yes.
That's Mr. I. Yeah, that's Mr. I to us.
back at the city and everything that's going on in this city and this state between Michigan basketball and Michigan State basketball, and not see what is happening and not be like, man, I want to buy in and spend some money and fork over the cash and hopefully get this city going again in the baseball side of things, not just the football or the hockey or the basketball, but get it going where this town with the old English D, how it used to be.
Yeah, it's a baseball town at heart, right? The Lions have literally, this is the first time they've been good, consistent like this ever. This is a baseball, and yeah, you could say it is hockey town, right? But it's a baseball town at heart. Like
It was a baseball town before it was a hockey town.
Going to Game 4, I went to Game 4 this year, and just seeing the crowd, man, and just seeing the crowds go on throughout the year, like this team is waiting for a winner to take them through the summer, right? The boys of summer, they are waiting for a reason to go out to the park. That's not just Friday happy hour or Saturday Miguel Cabrera bobblehead. All right, they want to come out to the park, watch a consistent winner with great players, right? We got that with Scooble. We had our Scooble days, right? That was fantastic. We want a reason to come to the yard every single day. Now you can get that with Riley Green, right? He was hurt for a lot of the year. We should be getting that with Kerry Carpenter. We will be talking about that later about how we are definitely going to want to see him get some left-handed pitching. But they need to have consistency all throughout the season. The boys of summer, right? The old English D, the heart of the city. It's a baseball town. We need the investment from the front office to show what the fan base showed throughout the back end of the season of how loyal and how hard they will come out for their team when it actually matters.
Yep. Yeah. And, going off of that, like we started off, priority number one, you got to get Bregman here. I don't care if he's not the MVP that, people are going to think he is. Even in his worst years, he will be a top 3 hitter on our team. I don't think people understand that. Even when he's having his bad years, he's going to be a top 3 hitter on our team. He brings that playoff experience. And, kind of like Luce was saying earlier, we also need these young guys to take a step forward. I need Riley Green to stay healthy. He stays healthy, he's going to be on. I think last year he goes unreal.
Riley Green can win the MVP. I'm just letting you know right now.
He's healthy. He had
MLB tweeted as a dark horse.
MLB posted a week ago. They posted him as their dark horse MVP. He can do that. 100%.
My 2 guys that I'm looking for that breakout is Riley Green and Parker Meadows. Both those guys,
is another breakout candidate league wide. Like
both those guys can go crazy, and I love having Bregman in the middle of those 2 lefties right there. Like that's just something that's fun to watch again. And Kerry Carpenter as well. And the last.
Hey, can I go ahead and just tell us Bregman's based on his baseball reference his last 3 years? Okay, we're averaging 4.5 WAR, 4.6, 4.9, 4.1 WAR over last year's. Homers 23, 25, 26. Average 259, 262, 260. Freaking doubles 38 and 22, 28, 30. Right? OPS 820, 808, 768, a little down this year. Right, but that is we talk about the consistency. Like he is a 260 hitter with an 800 OPS and 25 homers. Like you can just book it. And he won his first Gold Glove this year. He's been playing Gold Glove defense for a long time. Finally got his Gold Glove. This is a Gold Glove defender who is as consistent as it gets with the upside to go.
Gonna play 140 to 155 games.
Yeah, 155 games, 161 games, 145 games.
That's
right?
unbelievable.
It is.
We still have Matt Yearling, Jace Young. We still have McKinstry who can also pop in there as well. There's still going to be other guys, and
they're good role players. They're good bench players, but
exactly.
We need everyday lineup posters. Gleyber Torres is going to post. Bregman is going to post. Parker Meadows is going to post. Riley Green is going to post. Right, shortstop, we're going to platoon. First baseman, it's going to be a lot of Colt Keith. We'll probably see some torque at bats early. Catcher's going to split. Then we got to get to the Kerry Carpenter talk, which we'll get to more. But there can't be any more babysitting of this guy. He's got to play every day, and he needs 100%. To spend most of the time at DH. But he can go play the outfield. He's not going to kill us. He might lose us one game, but whatever. He needs to be in the lineup every single time that he can be. And obviously he missed a huge chunk of this year But if he plays and he plays in 125, I'm not asking him to hit against every lefty. You can give him his rest days, his off days. You can pick his matchups. But if he plays 125 games, he's going to hit 40 home runs.
Yeah.
It's going to, and it's not going to be difficult. That's just what's going to happen. So that needs to happen.
100%.
And then having Bregman allows you to mix the combo up in your top 5. You'll then have Glaber, Bregman, Parker Meadows, Riley Green, and Kerry Carpenter. And then you can mesh that 5 hitters however you want.
Think about having a guy like
depending on the
Colt
matchup.
Keith towards the bottom too, towards like the middle bottom, not having to have him in a huge role, right? Just letting him just be that little clubber in the middle of the lineup.
You can show
right?
who's shown that he could be a player of the month type of, like, he could take over your lineup for, like, that's the next step. You supplement the top of the lineup, so then you get to a point where you have these maybe Torque gets hot for a week, maybe Baez gets hot for a week, in the ever-ending Baez cycle, right? So then you have his 1 week, and Trey Sweeney, who's going to play, Justin Henry Malloy is going to get at bats, Raj and Dingler obviously are going to play, McKinstry and Vierling, and so I mean that's basically
And
your
Ibanez.
roster right there.
And Ibanez, yep.
How could I forget? Right? Oh my gosh.
Astros killer.
Which he's got, and like now we transfer from having Andy Ibanez as our 2-hole guy versus lefties or 3-hole guy to now he'll hit 6th, right? You'll hit probably Bregman 2nd, Glaber 4th, and then you can go Ibanez 6th, or you can bump them up and go right, and keep those together rather than having to break up the lefties. It just depends on what you want to do, but we're going to have versatility, and we're going to be able to put our guys in their most advantageous situations and not ask too much of our guys who are not elite Major League Baseball players. They're good Major League Baseball players, solid Major League Baseball players.
And
But
let's
that's the
also
next thing
not
we'll see.
forget that we have the best pitching coach in all of baseball. We have the
Not even
best
close.
pitcher in baseball. If we bring back, whether that's trading for Luis Castillo or we get Jack Flaherty or just one more arm, dude.
One more
this
arm.
team is going to be. I mean, we're going to be AL Central favorites if we get Bregman, and we could literally win the AL so easily. When
the American
AL's
League is
wide
more
open,
wide
dude.
open than it's ever been.
It's wide open. The National League is loaded too. Like, because our rotation right now, if we mocked it up, it's Skubal, Reese Olson, Alex Cobb, Jackson Jobe, and
Casey Mize, Matt Manning.
Casey Mize will not.
Yeah, you got like Mize, Manning.
No
you
way.
got Sawyer Gibson
Manning,
Long coming back. You got
Sawyer Gibson Long's recovery is kind of we don't know about him because
we got Brant Herter though.
You got Herter. You got Kyler Montero. It's just kind of like
Big Brant. He's a dog.
Big Brant will get a lot of innings on this team regardless.
You just solidify that 5th starter. Like, you've seen what can happen, and injuries are going to happen. And obviously, we want to make sure we want to hope that our guys our Skubals and Reese Olsons stay healthy. But you got to have guys that can go out there and eat innings in the regular season. That's why you pay Alex Cobb $15 million and hope that he throws 180 innings. That's worth it. That's worth it.
He ain't throwing 180. Dude, if he throws 120, it's worth it. Its innings are at such a premium right now, man.
Exactly.
Well, on this thing with pitching, the thing was last year is we were phenomenal pitching. The problem is that we could not score runs. And going back to Bregman, we got to do the past 3 years who's drove in 75 ribbies, 98, 93.
He's as consistent as it gets, man.
Dude,
and he's going to have opportunities with those guys that are hitting in front of him to have in a 100 RBI season. And with especially how big the park is too, like guys are going to be able to take, and he's
a line drive hitter. He's a really tight, he's a tight mover. He's a tight turner. He's a line drive hitter.
Over at third base, just ripping them home every single time, which is something that AJ in the coaching staff, that's something that they study and that they've decided is going to be what we do. And they're going to play the odds, they go on everything. Runner on third, less than 2 outs, ball hits the dirt, they're gone. They just run. Obviously you're looking for it to break the pitcher, but we're going to be at the cutting edge, at the front line of all coaching and skill and training in all of Major League Baseball, right? And so it's about, at the end of the day, getting the guys in there and letting them be dudes. And that's what's gonna hopefully take this team back to where it rightfully belongs. And that's in the playoffs every single year. And if we get Bregman, and my dream is the Luis Castillo You sign Bregman and you trade for Luis Castillo. They're probably top 3 AL pennant favorites, like instantly. Just
they're
like
two.
that.
They're right behind the Yankees.
Yeah. And so, but any other Tiger talk or
Can't forget our boy Wencel Perez. He'll be
right.
Shout out! I love shout
he'll
out.
find himself in that lineup, but it is nice, we just need Pizza Boy to do something, man. You get Bregman, you get someone here, man. You, like Brock said, you can't have Glaber and Cobb be your 1-2 signing of the free agency season, and especially once you just showed what you could do with barely any pitching and barely any.
Their playoff payroll was $17 million on the playoff roster because Baez was not on it, Maeda was on it. $17 million was their playoff payroll.
Yeah, that can't be where you end. And I don't want to hear the excuse that we have the number 1 farm system when we have guys coming. I don't care. Like,
once the guys
the roster with major league talent, and when it's time for our prospects to come up, our Max Clarks, our McGonagalls, Job's going to break.
You're seeing it with the Orioles. Once the prospects get there, then the farm system dies, right? Then you have to rebuild it, right? We're going to get to the point where McGonigal and Clark and freaking Thyron and what's the last guy? Brasino, yeah.
But Thyron and Brasino are years away. They're
both correct. But still, like, once those guys, you got to give up farm systems. Once those guys graduate, then your farm system falls off, and you have to keep building.
So you have to make your decisions. You have to bank on the guys that are going to be a part of the big league club, and you have to be willing to move on from guys. You have to. And so and there's decisions to be made, and as the offseason, continues to progress. But pitchers and catchers report in the second week of February. Like we're just about at a month out, and so things need to start happening. For like, the last thing we want is to be running up against the clock. And I hate this stuff with the guys holding out forever, Blake Snell and what he did, and rightfully so for them, trying to get their money, but it ends up setting them back because they need to play in spring training. Guys need to pitch and guys need to hit in spring training, or they're behind when they come out. They start out slow, and a slow start you can be chasing a slow start.
Can ruin a season.
April, you're chasing the next 2 months. 2 months. That's a long time to be trying to just claw back to 500, right? I think we did a better job of starting out fast last year, and that's got to be our priority again, is to get out to a fast start and then not have that letdown month. We thought it was going to be April was the month that killed us in 23 and 22. We get through April, and then our May is horrible, and it puts us right back in the gutter. And so I expect this team to be more consistent, but it needs more pitching in order for that to happen. Even though I think our run production is going to be higher.
For sure.
But any other Tigers before we move on?
No, we're going to save that all for once football season ends. So a
lot of time left, right? A lot of time left. We got to stay locked in on our Lions. Lions are priority number 1, right? But when is the NBA trade deadline?
It's sometime in February. All-Star.
Right?
Right around the All-Star.
That'll be a big time. That'll be a big decision time. But I think kind of the last thing we can do real quick, I love this concept, but just a real quick buy or sell. And it can be anything. Detroit can be NFL playoffs, whatever it may be. I know I have mine, but I'll pass it off to somebody and hope mine doesn't get sniped. But buy or sell. You either get to buy or sell. You can't do both.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn, I had two. I had to buy and sell.
All right. We'll start with one, and then we can maybe start.
Okay, I'll go with my sell because it's a really easy sell from the whole week. We're kind of encapsulating the whole week. My sell is Mick Cronin. Have we seen this guy? This guy. So I have the quote here on my phone. I'll read a little bit of it. He comes out. They get blown. I think it was after they got blown out by Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he just calls his whole players soft. The
assistant coaches too.
He calls the coaches soft. And what was the craziest thing to me was, he starts talking about himself as far as when you start saying I as a coach, it better be because I need to have you better be taking some blame. Here he goes. Here's the quote. I have to run on the court to get guys to play hard. It's crazy, and every day I'm tired of it. I have the most energy of anybody in practice every day. I'm upset with everybody in the locker room, like assistant coaches and my players. I don't need to do anything. I've got 500 wins and I'm 53. You think I'm coaching the Lakers? It's a joke. And I come in and I have more passion, energy, and pride than anybody in there. That's the problem. That's the truth. That's the truth right now.
Crazy.
Yeah,
That's insanity, dude.
Dead.
And now they're dead. They've lost like 5 in a row. Their season's over. He gets ejected. Oh, and then he gets ejected in the next game. He just quits. Said he was trying to fire them. No, you just quit. You quit the game. They were preseason ranked. Yeah. And his team hasn't quit on him. He quit on his team. You cannot come out, even if you believe that, you cannot come out and say that in the media, right? When your players, like, they're all going to be there, whether it's on the bus or whatever, in their hotels, and they're going to send them their group chat, like, what in the hell is this dude talking about, right? It's just insanity. And if you got 500 wins and you're 53 and you're on this high horse, get your ass out of college basketball. Just get out. If that's going to be your attitude, there's no reason for you to be going there and just leading these kids to their absolute doom and demise. Myself, Mick Cronin, big doom.
Big doom.
Yeah.
Rollins. Wait, go ahead, Sean. I
was going to say, I talked about it a little at the beginning, but my buy is Jeremy Fears, man. I love exactly what he's done with our program, with MSU. Like Luce, you were saying, he kind of brought back that old MSU kind of hype. And, last year kind of getting shot in the leg and having a season come to an end. And now where he's at right now is unreal. And I'm definitely buying high on him. And I hope he continues to have the season he's having. Rollins, take it over.
My sell's got to be these Eagles, man.
Here we go.
I'm not sure if you saw the quote from Jalen Hurts when he got interviewed, but A.J. Brown went to the sideline, pulled out a book, and everybody was
number one bestseller on Amazon, by the way, now, which is insanity.
Crazy. Eagles fans, so much glaze.
But Jalen Hurts after the game goes, I've never seen him read, but I've seen the book in his hands. Like, there is drama, like high school girl drama happening on that football team. And
did you see the look that Devontae Smith gave him?
No.
When he was reading? He gives him a little like, well, what is you like? You ain't reading that shit, but you ain't doing that.
I mean, I don't like. I'd always like Jalen Hurts, so I'm not sure what's exactly happening in house with that. But that calling your teammate out like that, I can't stick behind. And this Eagles team is just in a bad spot.
It all starts in one spot. It's called the head coach.
Yep.
No control. All right. I'm selling. I'm absolutely selling this week. This has been a point of mine that I have been nailing home for weeks now. It was kind of spirited by a video I saw on Twitter, 15 minutes long. Brock sent it to me. I sit down and I watch the whole thing, 15 minutes. My sell is Mike Tomlin. Okay. Mike Tomlin is a bad football coach.
Terrible.
He is a bad football coach. He has run his course. And in the video from Frank Michael Smith, he has not had a single coach. He doesn't have a coaching tree. He doesn't have a single coach that's moved on to be a coordinator on either side of the ball or a head coach. He's been the head coach for 20 some years, right? I mean, he's what is it? They're 3-8 in their last 11 playoff games.
0-6 in the last 6.
0-6 in the last 6, and they're averaging. I heard this on Part of My Take this morning. They're averaging they're giving up 38 points a game in those games that they've lost. They're a bad football team, and I don't know how Steelers fans do it. I mean, it's the literal definition of insanity to keep rolling this guy out there and expecting anything more than now a 10-7 season, 11-6, 9-8, and you're gonna go play in the first round. You're going to go play Kansas City or Buffalo or Baltimore, and you're going to get the doors blown off of you year after year. The roster is bad. It's old. They're undisciplined. And at the end of the day, Mike Tomlin is just consistently outcoached by these other teams that are willing to push to the front end and be innovative in coaching football, like your Ben Johnsons and your Sean McVays and those type of guys. I mean, he consistently hires, old, guys that have, cut their teeth in the league type of coordinators. And they look that way. They look old, they look slow, and they look like they're behind everybody else, and they're playing a different style of football than everybody else. And so, my sell is absolutely Mike Tomlin. Pittsburgh's they got to grow up and move on. He will get a job instantly. There will be 15 teams. There are teams that would fire their head coach to hire Mike Tomlin, and I think that's good for him to just get a change of scenery. But I think we saw the way it ended with Belichick too. Like, he has ultimate authority in that building. He's basically a GM. Like, he signs off on everything. He's the last word. He's the decision maker. And it's just not working anymore. It's not working. He doesn't have the eye for it. He's not at the front edge of the game like the rest of these coaches in the NFL. And he's got to move on, and he's got to change scenery. And somebody else has got to take over Pittsburgh, because they can't be one and done every year in the playoffs. The Pittsburgh freaking Steelers. So that is my sell. Did you have a buy over there, Brock? You said you had a little backdoor buy.
Yeah, really quick buy. TGL, the indoor golf simulator.
All in.
Rocks. Completely rocks. I will be tuned in 7 p.m. tomorrow. Freaking Max Homa and Tiger and Kiz are playing, like Justin Rose. I don't know the roster, but I'm in. I'm just so in. It's interesting. Before the shot clock rocks. It's very fun to watch. The guys are out there having fun with it. There's a little hammer thing where they can do double points. It's fun. It's fun. It's golf that I enjoy watching. That's not just the 4 majors. I'm enjoying watching it. I'm actually looking forward to. I'm gonna turn this on at 7 p.m. It's fun. It's a good little buy. I'm in. I'm all in.
One sell that I do have, I don't know if you boys saw it on Twitter, but the Eagles fan who was just dishing it out to the Packers. I'll type in the chat what he called her.
Yeah, no, he said the C word. He said the 4-letter C word.
Kept calling her just over and over as she was just cheering for her team. Man, I wish the worst on the Eagle fan base. Like, the fact that they're so rude. They don't care about anyone else. It's like going to away games. It's fun chirping. It's fun having that back and forth with the home team as well. Like, that's fun. At the Eagles game, no fun. No fun allowed.
No fun.
They throw batteries. They throw batteries at Santa Claus.
I'm going to jump in. I'm also selling on the Vikings fans and the Vikings players' wives that made up those stories that the Detroit fans were trashing them because they weren't. And that was also proven true. So Detroit fans rock. I mean, there's banter, but I have multiple buddies who, where I'm at in Ohio, who have went up to Detroit for games for some of the closer teams, division rivals, Packers, Vikings fans. And like, it's fun. Like, that's how a fan base should be. I think Lions fans are more appreciative of, teams that are bad that roll into, or even our rivals. And like, it's football, and yes, it's fun to banter, but that Eagles video it's ridiculous. I mean, that's how they all are. That's just what they are. It's what they are. But any other final thoughts before we close the show here? I don't know. No. We kind of got to build a little intro and outro on both ends, how we're gonna start and end these shows. But this is the Village G podcast. This is episode 1, Village G, for a little shout out on the Spring Arbor campus. That's where the boys held it down for a little while. And so, the thought process with this is, bringing you the locker room style sports talk. We're very tapped into our teams and the leagues, obviously. And, we're going to keep bringing it to you, just shooting the shit and having fun with it. And that's the goal here. But Village G, that's where the boys held it down. And so we will see you next week, same time. We're going to have this up on Tuesdays. So we're going to record Monday nights and have it up on Tuesdays, and obviously stay with us. We're going to keep getting better and better as the show goes on, not talking over each other as much, and, flowing in and out of segments and intro and outroing. But, we wanted to put group chat thoughts, and instead of ripping texts, multiple paragraph text, we're going to put it on a pod, and if nobody likes it, we'll at least have them. They'll be recorded for us to have later on. So, all right, boys.
Deuces.
We'll see ya.
We'll see you next week, boys.
Yes, sir.